So, what is Mage Bros? Well, it's a 3D platformer, a 3D action platformer where you play as a mage. He can jump and he can shoot magic, and he can jump and shoot magic at the same time, and that's all he can do. But that's plenty enough. The objective of each level in the game is to light all of the torches, which opens up the exit portal. If you miss a torch, sometimes you can go back, sometimes you can't. A major noticeable feature of the game mechanics is how tight the controls are. Like, the controls are very snappy and responsive. You may not think it, based on the way the mage is shaped and the way the game generally looks, but I wouldn't be hopping around on this tiny platform like this if I were scared. The traps and enemies the game presents are generally very simplistic. Like, some enemies will jump in the air and dive towards you, some will just kind of meander in your general direction. You can only fire in the direction you're facing, because this is not a dual joystick shooter, and generally, in reality, people can only fire in the direction they're facing, unless they're just psychic or some shit, and they can tell when they're hitting something behind them. And this game is incredibly realistic. All jokes aside, obviously, being able to only shoot in the direction you're facing is a part of the challenge, because it's a simplistic limitation to fit with the simplistic enemies. Your limited movement and the enemy's limited movement work well together. Now, the platforming hazards aren't so great unless the threat of an instant death pit is there. I know not a lot of people are a fan of instant death pits in platformers, but it's kind of necessary to ramp up the tension in this game, because it's very difficult to get hit unless you're just being careless. The water is the instant death pit, by the way. We're waiting right now for a floating platform to come by. It's gonna take a while for it to come by, though. The kangaroo, unfortunately, is currently blocking the path to, Alright, he moved out of the way. So, I like that other side much better, so I think... Yeah, there we go. I wouldn't be able to do that if the controls in this game weren't tight. I know that the mage looks kinda pudgy and chunky, but he can jump with the best of them. I think the game kind of tricks you into being scared of doing more difficult jumps, like jumping up and down on this small platform to light the torches that are just sort of floating in the abyss over the water. But you can totally do it, it's not hard. Anyway, we've been collecting these coins, and that's because there are shops every 3 levels. And here's one of the shops right now. Also, some of the barrels are destructible, not all of them, only some. So you're gonna have to check. The destructible barrels are more like secrets anyway. So I already bought all the wand upgrades from the shop, but we're gonna buy a health potion. What did the health potion do? It didn't seem to do anything, but I bought one anyway. This is a shareware game. You can play the first world for free, and then you have to pay for the rest. The game is just generally pleasant to play. Like, it looks nice, it sounds nice. The low poly graphics really lend it its own style. I like the giant cartoonish eyes on everything. And, I'm a big fan of simplistic game mechanics. I like when simplistic game mechanics are explored to their fullest. And this game's pretty good at that. Alright, so, now it's time for the boss stage. There are normally 10 stages, but I started us on stage 9. So that way you could see the hardest stage of the first world and then the boss level. Now, the build-up here is great. You slowly ride this platform across this expanse of water, and you get to see the boss in the water long before you actually reach the boss fight platform. Like, look at that. There's a fucking serpent in the water that we're gonna have to fight. And I love that you can see him before you actually get there. You can also shoot him before you actually get there. I dealt a whole heart of damage that way. But yeah, the build-up here, it's fucking fantastic. I love it so much. Anyway, the gimmick for this boss is that he adjusts his movement immediately to where you're standing. In a sort of serpentine pattern, because he is a serpent. You can only damage him by shooting him in the head. But yeah, he swims up on shore, and he swerves around in a serpentine pattern, and you have to make slight adjustments to get out of his way. Now, of course, I got hit a lot the first time I fought this boss because I didn't understand that he would turn so quickly to come after me. But after the first time I died, I figured out what was going on, and that was that. He's not a particularly difficult boss battle, but, I like his build-up, and I like his design a whole lot. The developer of this game, Saito Games, they have a very distinct art direction, I think. Oh, he's dead. Anyway, that's all I'm gonna show of Mage Bros. If you like what you saw, that's pretty much the whole game.